For this video, I'm going to show a little bit of some of the basics of using Google Docs. And there's so many features that you can have in Google Docs, many of which you may not necessarily use on a regular basis. And I'm going to limit my video to those that I actually do use. And so let's get into the Google Docs. I go over to the Google Docs or the Google Apps, and I'll scroll down till I find the Google Docs symbol there. I'll click on that, and it comes up with a menu of options, starting with a search bar. If I know the title of a doc that I've already completed, I can bring that up again. Maybe it's in my Google Drive somewhere in a folder, or maybe it's just something I know exactly what it's called. I can bring that up by searching in the search box. I can start with a new document by just typing blank. There are resume templates, letter templates, proposal templates. One of the assignments I'll use with my students, sometimes based on a story that we read, is to create a travel brochure, take us to the setting of that story, and create this brochure by using details from the story itself. I can also go down here if I've worked on a document recently. I can see it in the list. I can click on it. There are several options here. It has the title of different things. I can click on that and it'll open that document that I can see it. I can print it. I can work with it however I want. But for today, we're going to learn how to create a new blank Google document. So I'll click on that. When the document comes up, it's clearly a blank screen, just like a typical empty document. I'm going to call this Chapter 1 Quiz. We're going to make a make-believe quiz here. In the text, once I have hit enter, notice it'll save, and then it's also saved to my drive, a nice feature of that. So I can always, if I can't remember it in Google Docs, or if I can't find it there for some reason, I can go into my drive. The nice thing is it's saved. If the power goes, I don't lose what I've typed. It saves fairly regularly. So I'm going to type in my name, Mr. Patrick, and we'll call this Chapter 1 Quiz. And I'm just going to list two brief questions based on a story named Death Watch that we read in my class. Say, how many days does it take Ben to get, to get back to his home? And my second question might be, what does Ben use for shoes? It's a story about desert survival in which one character has literally nothing and the other character has everything. So the questions are relevant to that story. One thing I could do is continue through here. I could print this out as a test. I could make copies, hand it to students for a pencil and paper test, turn it in, and we're finished. Another thing I could do is I could actually share this document to my students. Right now, this is private only to me. I could change those settings. I could add people in groups if I had a class as a group. I could change this to anyone who has the link and then just make sure my students have the link to this. Problem with that clearly is that anyone with the link can edit it. I can also, in my sharing settings, once I share it with the players, with my students, can I give them the option to edit, to view. Well, if I want them to write on it, clearly they're going to have the option to edit. Sometimes I will tell them to go into the file and make a copy, in which case they can then have a copy that they can type on, but the original stays as is. So that is how to, in a sense, create it, how to share it. One thing I might do is after sharing it, I might go in here and tell my students, each of you put your name down, and I want you to type two questions. Questions based on the story itself. And I'll just have these, I'll just call them question 1 and question 2. And then at that point, that's just one of the things that we tend to do as far as a basic use of the Google Doc. Again, it saves by itself, and so I don't have to worry about that type of thing. I can set it up in any way that I want. I can change the normal text style. I can change the writing. This is Arial. I can change it to Times New Roman or whatever. I can change the size from 11 to 12 to 14. I can add links. I can center it. I can go to the right align. I can go left align. I can add numbers. I can add bullets. Anything you want to do with the basic doc, you can do here. But my next video is going to go into some more detail about some specifics that I might use with this actual document, because again, my video is showing simply the most common uses that I have that I find effective as a teacher for sharing not only docs with myself and colleagues, but with my students in the interaction that we have from that. So check out my next video on using Google Docs.